Elder Titan is one of the strongest heroes in the current meta, and right now it's not even just played as a support, it can also be played as a core. We've seen Zai do this. He's played position 3 Elder Titan a couple of games, but here we're going to see how we can actually play Elder Titan as a carry hero. And you can see right now he has 420 bonus damage here, and it's only 24 minutes into the game. He doesn't even have any particular damage items, and he deals like 600 damage per hit with his spirit fully charged up. And that's what makes this hero incredibly powerful as a carry. So about a week and a half, a guy who goes by Jinn made a Reddit post about this, and he explained how he got to top 100 NA, 8k MMR, playing mostly Elder Titan carry. And so that is what we're going to look at in this video. We're going to look at how the skills of Elder Titan work, because there's actually a lot of subtlety there, a lot of mechanics that you might not fully understand. We'll talk about skill builds, about item builds, and then we're going to take a look at this example game here to see how much you can use Elder Titan in the carry role. The first ability to understand is Astral Spirit. What it does is it summons a spirit of yourself, and you control the spirit just like a unit. It can just pass through terrain, it passes through enemies, and then at some point it returns after, 8 seconds, and then it gives you bonus damage and bonus armor and movement speed based on the units that passed through on its way. So if it's at max level, you get 15 bonus damage for every creep, 80 bonus damage for every hero, 0.5 armor for every creep, 6 armor for every hero, and then 1% movement speed for every creep and 7% for every hero. And creep heroes count like regular creeps. So if I return this, now I can also, by the way, manually return it. Then I only get 15 bonus damage because I only pass through the bar. Illusions don't count, so if I just pass it through these illusions, I don't get any bonus damage. So you see, no buff at all. No bonus damage, no movement speed, nothing. However, clones, so that's for Meepo and for Arc Warden, count as heroes. So if I pass it through these 4 Meepos, I'm gonna get same bonus if I have passed through 4 regular heroes. So that makes Elder Titan really good against Meepo and to a lesser extent Arc Warden. Astral Spirit's movement speed is based on your own movement speed at the time of casting. So if you activate the spider legs and phase boost before casting it, your spirit is going to be very, very fast. You're moving around really fast. But if we don't use that, it's going to be much slower. You can see it's quite a bit slower here. So if you have phase boots, which is an item you're going to go for always if you're playing core Elder Titan, you're going to use this always before you cast your Astral Spirit. Also, the duration is 8 seconds, which lines up perfectly with the 8-second cooldown of phase boots. So you can use it once to cast the spirit, and then once it returns, you can use phase boots again to actually run people down and stable them. When you cast your spirit, you can manually return it by pressing W again, but you can also use this ability on the spirit itself. So here you see it returns prematurely, and this is very useful when you're disabled. If I cast my spirit here and Axe calls me, I can't actually use this, but I can still use it manually with the spirit. Then we have Echo Stomp, which is fairly straightforward. It's a channeling ability, and then it stomps, and you can hit people until you do 200 damage to them at max level. You have this wake up threshold. This is how much damage you can do to them before they wake up. So if I equip this rapier and then do this again, the axe will wake up after 1 hit. But if I drop the rapier and do it again, I can, hit him once, hit him twice, and only the 3rd time he wakes up. Stomp does 2 types of damage. It does magic damage and physical damage, and it does physical damage around your main hero and magical damage around your spirit. If your spirit is out and about and you cast your stomp, you're doing physical damage here, magical damage here. But if both of them are together, we're doing both magical and physical damage at the same time. So if the spirit is not casted, it's automatically inside the hero, so you're now doing physical and magical damage. This means that with maxed out Stomp we can actually kill range groups in one hit at the start at least. It does a total of 320 damage. So at the start we can one-shot range groups. Later on when they have more HP it doesn't work. Then we have the Natural Order aura, which is an aura with very short range. And what it does is it reduces base armor and base magic resistance by 100% at max level. So we can see this axe has 4 armor. Now we go next to him, he has 0. On the other hand, if we look at this Naga, he has all these plate mails, and this is not reduced. Only a base armor is removed. The bonus armor from plate mail still stays. And this armor reduction is around your main hero, not around the spirit. So this guy is next to the spirit, he still has a normal armor. But this axe is next to my hero, so he gets the armor reduction. Then we have around the spirit, we have magic resistance reduction. So spirit is currently inside me, so this guy has no magic resistance. However, Spirit Bear still has magic resistance. How come? Well, that's because this magic resistance from Bear is from Demolish. So he still gets this magic resistance because it's a bonus ability. It does not get reduced. Similarly, if you buy magic resistance items, so this Lone Druid currently has no magic resistance, but then we buy a bunch of cloaks, and suddenly we have a whole bunch of magic resist. Then finally we have the ultimate, the Earth Splitter. So this creates a crack in the earth, which then explodes after a little bit and deals damage based on the target's total HP. So based on max HP, it is a percentage of that. At max level it's 50%, and half of that is magic damage and half of that is physical damage. So what's the deal with Core Elder Titan? Why would you play this as something other than support? Well, you have this ability that gives you a huge amount of bonus damage, like 80 times the number of heroes you pass through. So if you pass through, let's say, 3 heroes, which in a team fight is very realistic, actually kind of a low ball figure, you get 240 bonus damage. That's huge. Throw in a couple of creeps as well, you get like 300 damage. This is insane amount of damage, and very importantly, this aura is so powerful, especially against the high base armor heroes like Terrorblade. You can get such a huge amount of armor reduction. So Terrorblade in the mid or late game is going to have like 40 armor, and so this aura is minus 40 armor. That's completely insane. But the problem is this is a very low range. So as a support, you can have a hard time actually being in the middle of the fight. Because don't forget, this is around the hero, not around the spirit. Putting your spirit in the fight is no problem, but the hero, you kind of have to be tanky. You kind of have to have like a core kind of items to be able to do that. But if you're the one who's the damage dealer with your insane Astro Spirit damage, it doesn't matter that this range is very low. And of course it's true that Elder Titan doesn't farm as fast as most other carries, but it's also a hero who can use farm incredibly well and is equivalent in strength to an enemy carry that's like 5k ahead of him in many cases. So what's our skill build look like? Well, it's pretty much always the same. You skill up Astro Spirit at the start, then you can put in 1 value point in Natural Order, and then you skill Astro Spirit and Echo Stomp. So this is what we want to max first, and then Echo Stomp second. This Earth Splitter is only really good once you have a couple of points in Echo Stomp as a setup. So typically Jinn is gonna skill us up at level 11 and 12, but sometimes it's also coming in a little bit earlier at level 9 or 10. Then level 10 usually chooses the attack speed talent, then Earth Split as I said, and then of course last we max out the aura. Level 15 talent is Astro Spirit Hero Attack. This is so much damage, we always take this. Then of course we max out Earth Splitter, and then at level 20 we take the Cleave talent. This is so good for farming. And then at level 25 Jinn recommends the Earth Splitter cooldown talent. So as item build goes, in terms of the big items, we want to get an early phase boot. This is the best boots, allows us to catch up to people when we have our Astral Spirit damage, also allows our spirit to be faster, and the armor is also quite useful. So we always go for phase boots. Then next big item is Echo Saber. So this just allows us to do extra damage with Astral Spirit. It's essentially like an attack speed item, but one that also solves our mana problems, or at least alleviates them. And then after that we go for an Aghanim's. What Aghanim's does is it's basically works like a BKB on an insanely short cooldown. So whenever we pass through an enemy hero, for every enemy hero we pass with our spirit, we get 2 seconds of spell immunity. So now we spell immune for 6 seconds. And this obviously is really powerful together with the bonus damage we get. So we do huge damage and we're also magic immune. So this is a great item, and always go for these 3 items. After that, it's a bit more flexible. Oftentimes you want to go for an AC. You could also go for an Abyssal Blade. You could also go for something a bit more utility style. You can go for something like a Blink Dagger, which can be great for team fighting. Also go for something like a Heaven's Halberd, which is great. Or we can go for MKB if they have evasion. So there's a lot of flexible options for late game items. Okay, let's jump into the actual game. And you can see he's with a lion as a support. His starting items, this is the usual starting items. You get Quelling Blade for last hitting, then some regen, as well as a bunch of branches, which then later can be made into a wand. Very efficient starting items, and after that you typically want to go straight for boots. Because boots is very important to have by the time you're level 3, because then you get that level 3 spirit and you can potentially get a kill with that. So in this game they rotated lanes, don't worry about that too much, he's still playing carry. It's just they thought that this would give them the better lane setup, and so he's now laning against this Arc Warden, who's a hero that they can run down quite well as Elder Titan. So he's hiding a bit in the trees right now, he doesn't want this lane setup to be discovered prematurely. And now he's immediately summoning his spirit. He's looking for some other hero, but doesn't find anyone else, so just has this one hero damage. And this is giving him a moderate amount of bonus damage, 32. It's not that much, but still it's a lot on level 1. And so they can play kind of aggressively here. Of course, against this ogre you have to be a bit more careful. And it's very much about those timings. You want to send that spirit in, and then you're very strong for a short amount of time. So you return it right now because you already went through all the creeps and heroes. And now you can just right click down this ogre, and ogre is forced to retreat. Ideally you want to run your spirit through the enemy heroes and also through a creep camp, and it's even better if the creep camp has been stacked. So if your support can stack a camp for you, that's really powerful. So now he's actually even going through some of these creeps here, so he has lots of bonus damage now. 73 bonus damage, that is a lot with just level 1 spirit, but it's very important not to neglect your own creeps. You don't want to be overly aggressive. You are a core, you're a carry, you want to farm. So don't go chasing too far after enemy heroes. You want to farm those lane creeps. Once we're level 3, we have level 2 spirits and our boots. We once again want to run through all the creeps and the heroes, and then position yourself so that the returned spirit will give some bonus damage even more. And now we can try to run down this Arc Warden. So we're doing right now so much bonus damage, 136, and we actually get a kill here. And now we just have to walk away here, and we're fine. A bit low here, but that is why we bought a healing salve on the courier, so we can get our life back. We bought this when he also bought the boost of speed, so that's very efficient. If you have some extra gold to spare, you can buy a healing salve to get some faster regen than those tangos. You can see the ogre is now trying to block this camp with Sentry Ward, so that's very important. And so if possible, tell your support to buy sentries to deward that. You want to have these camps, you want to have these stacks so that you can get bonus damage. And you can see how much damage this does. You just run an ogre down like it's an ogre. It's one of the tankiest supports in the game, like pretty much the tankiest support. And still it just dies so quickly to you. And you also, like, the fact that Ogre has very high armor kind of doesn't help him that much, because we're reducing his armor by 40%, and later on it's going to scale up to 100%. So this is incredibly powerful. At the start we can just run people down. Elder Titan is even more powerful in some sort of 3 versus 3 situation, because there's just like one extra hero that he can get bonus damage from. But even here in the 2 versus 2 lane, he's still very powerful. The only lane you really don't want to play Elder Titan in is mid lane, because it's 1 versus 1 and the creep games are kind of far away. So you don't want to play Elder Titan as a mid laner. Also, like, the mid lane is kind of a short lane, it's not that easy to run people down. So we always want to play him as a side laner. But just the fact that you can play him in every position except mid makes him an incredibly flexible hero. So that's important for drafting. And because you don't know whether that Elder Titan that they picked is going to be a support, or whether it's going to be an offlaner, or even a carry. Now we have our second power spike. We have phase boots and level 3 spirit. Once again, we're running through people. Unfortunately, Ogre's not here right now, so we're not getting him. And Arc Ward now is to play very, very defensively, because he knows how strong we are. So he's actually just going to go and farm this small camp. But if they stay here in the lane, we can very easily get a kill here with our phase boots. And remember, use phase boots when before you cast your spirits. That way the spirit is faster, and then once the spirit returns, you have phase boots available again, and you can run people down and staple them. The opponents are kind of abandoning the lane. Your support doesn't need to be here, so you can just stay here on your own and get some golden experience, trying to deny as much as possible, as well as just putting on some pressure here onto that Arc Warden. Now let's force rotation from Enchantress. Very strong support, obviously, and much better than against Elder Titan, because you can dispel the Astral Spirit debuff or buff. So that is a very powerful counter. So there's a couple of heroes that really counter Elder Titan. You have to be aware of that when choosing your lanes. So now they get a kill at the bottom lane, and you just want to play very aggressively at this stage of the game. You're now the strongest hero on the map. Typically, even if the lane didn't go quite as well as it did here, you're still going to do really, really well. You see he's currently top of the net worth, and this is not going to stay that way. Elder Titan is not a hero that farms particularly well. He's more of a space creating action kind of carry. You want to fight a lot and be very, very active with all that bonus damage that you get and all these team fighting abilities that you have. And then the next item you're going to go for is the Echo Saber. Not really going for any small items in here except for that infused raindrop. Honestly, I think you should go for a magic one. That's also what he usually does. Usually gets the magic wand after phase boots. For some reason he's skipping it in this game. Also, another thing that he doesn't really do, which I think he should, is buying Windlace. Windlace is a very powerful item just in general, and in Elder Titan in particular. You just need lots of movement speed to actually chase people down with your bonus damage. Then also it increases the movement speed of your spirit, and then spirit, once it returns, gives you a percentage based bonus movement speed. And so getting extra base movement speed from Windlace is very powerful. As you can see, we're struggling a bit with mana, so that's why you want to go for this Echo Saber, and also why it's really nice to throw in this infused raindrop at this stage of the game. Our next power spike comes when we completed our Echo Saber, so this is again where you want to seek out fights, because now we are still incredibly strong, and just getting that double hit as well as slow is really powerful. You saw him here trying to TP to a fight, but then he thought better of it, and now he's going to join this fight in the mid lane instead, and let's see what he can do here, passing through the spirit, and gets off a decent stomp here, not the greatest. But with 2 heroes already dead, it's not that easy, so you don't want to rush in too much. If you get a good spirit, like it's 255 bonus damage, that's a lot. But if you go in here like 1 versus 3, line is already low, you're not going to have a good time. You're still a carry hero, you're not some sort of crazy spirit breaker support who can just run in and die. You're the carry. You want to go into fights that are good fights. Also important, shipping yourself clarities, because even with Echo Saber you're still going to have some mana problems. So an occasional clarity can help alleviate that. SET, it's great to use stacks, even just for farming here, so he passes through these and actually finds Nature's Prophet here. So we also want to use this spirit for scouting. So now he knows that at least Nature's Prophet is here in the area, and we see Ashika TPing in, other heroes also coming in. So he gets off a stomp on Enchantress, followed up by Earthsplitter, now skilled up at level 10. So they get that kill and defend their bottom tier 2 tower. Now we can just go and farm this camp. Stomp actually does a good amount of damage. If you have the mana to spare, you can just stomp here and speed up that farming process. So you want to farm, but you also want to fight with your team where appropriate. Now you might ask, if you're this kind of fighting carry, why not go for Drum? Drum seems like a really good item on Elder Titan. All the stats it gives are excellent on him, movement speed is great, mana regen is great, and the active is amazing for these kinds of fights. And all of that is true, but Drum is not nearly as transformative an item as Aghanims is. What Aghanims does for us is that we get basically a BKB on a 17-second cooldown. That is absolutely amazing. That's a bit more clunky than BKB, it doesn't work instantly, we have to wait for our spirit to return. And we have to actually get some heroes in there for it to do anything, but it's still so powerful. And this just makes it so much easier to actually take fights. If we're just magic immune, we can just run in there and people just can't do anything against us. This completely transforms the way this hero can be played. And so we just want to go straight for that Aghanims after our Phase Boots and Echo Saber to get that item out as fast as possible. When do you want to pick Elder Titan? Well, first of all, he's great against these kinds of summon heroes, like Nature's Prophet. Also pretty good against the Arc Warden, because the clone also gives you same charges as a hero would. So against these kinds of heroes, against Chen and so on, he's great. You have to be careful though against heroes that can stun you through BKB, or through the Aghanims rather, in Elder Titan's case. So while the summons of a Beastmaster are great for you, he also has a PvP piercing disable, so he's playing against a Beastmaster. You have to be very wary of that. It's also of course great if you're going to do some sort of tri-laning, as in Tri vs Tri, Elder Titan is incredibly powerful. You want to generally have a support on your lane who has some sort of disable. Ideally a stun or slow would also be good, so Lion is a pretty good pairing with Elder Titan. You also want to have some sort of hero on your team who can actually initiate properly. So a hero like Earthshaker fits the build quite well, and it's also great to have heroes that can siege, so that you can do pushes where you have these siege heroes like the Venomancer, like the Shadow Fiend with his pretty long range, and this sort of allows you to sit behind them, spam your spirit, and then once they go into your sieging hero, you can then counter initiate. You're not an initiator typically, you're more of a counter initiator as Elder Titan. Another thing to watch out for as far as opponents go is that the buff from Astral Spirit can be dispelled. So Enchantress is really a problem. As long as you don't have your Aghanims yet, you can just dispel your buff and make you rather useless in fights. So that is something you have to watch out for very carefully. Aghanims is now complete, so this is our next power spike, and you can see them just smoking there, using that power spike, and they're at least going to find an ogre, and they're going to kill him off. Enchantress trying to do something, but she can't, and just be very careful here, because this is not really a fight you want to take. See, your spirit is about to run out, so we're just going to play it a bit more carefully. Now sending out the new spirit, getting off an excellent stomp, and now he can return into this fight and chunk people down with his bonus damage. However, he's quite outnumbered here, so his fight attack actually hasn't gone too well for him, so he's going to die here. But the Fiend cleans up, so this fight didn't go quite as they expected, but you also have to watch out that they're actually 6k behind. So they're playing a disadvantage here, and still the fight was fairly close. The thing about Elder Titan though is that even if you're down in net worth, you still have a very realistic chance of winning. You just have to take a good fight, and then you can win even when you're like 10k down. You're the one on the front line, so if they have any sort of invis, in this case here I have a Glimmer Cape on Enchantress, you definitely need to buy dust so you can actually find these people. Because of that dust, they can now hunt down this Enchantress and kill off very easily there. After Aghanim's, you often will go for Abyssal Blade for that extra initiation and disable. But here in this game, they have a decent amount of disable already in their team, and going for an AC is an excellent addition. You really appreciate the extra armor, makes you more tanky, and physical damage is kind of your weakness once you have Aghanims, because magical damage is taken care of by that. But you still don't have that much armor, so the armor from Aghs is great, as well as the armor reduction, of course stacks quite well with your natural aura, so you remove all their base armor and then you remove their bonus armor by another 5, so that's very powerful and makes your right clicks even stronger. So you're gonna fight as Elder Titan. Even when you're down 6k, if you still take those fights. In this case it's a 5 versus 4 because they found the Arc Warden earlier, and as soon as you get like a good spirit, you just do so much. You see him is getting 420 bonus damage, he's just hitting people for almost 600 damage. And it's only 24 minutes into the game, and they just clean house here, even though they're down in net worth. And there's Prophet very cheekily comes in here, tries to get some kill here, but stomped his way in, and you see how much damage we do, even with a very poor spirit. If you find yourself behind, you can't really find your way back into the game by just farming. You do have to look for fights somehow. So going for smoke, for example, is great. Here in this case, they just find the clone, and now with all the vision that the Dire team have, they decide to initiate here and kill off this Earthshaker very quickly, but he buys back. And so in these kinds of fights, we're going to find good stomps here, in this case taking out the Teenage Prophet and combining that with an Earth Splitter to do as much damage as possible. Of course, ideally you want to sleep multiple targets, but just getting a decent Earth Splitter is better than not getting it off at all. And now that we have our bonus damage and spell immunity, we can run in there and get a lot of damage done. So far this fight has been rather even, but now Arc Warden is caught out. That's so important. Arc Warden is the main damage dealer, and he's very vulnerable if you actually get on top of him. So they managed to turn this fight around, and Teenage Prophet tries to rescue this fight by buying back, but he's also one of those heroes that's really vulnerable at being run at. So running in here, and we have a lot of spell immunity, a lot of bonus damage. You can see we're attacking for close to 600 damage, so all they can do is retreat. And the Dire team was up something like 5k at the start of this fight, and now we're close to even. So a hugely won fight there for us, and it's not even over yet. But with that Glimmer Cape, the Ogre saved himself. Unfortunately, no more detection. Actually was in cooldown here. You usually want to buy a bit more in the way of small items in the early game. So you want to buy a 1 typically, and you also perhaps want to buy a Windlace. But here in this game, you kind of need the Crown Blade because you're playing with Teenage Prophet, and then because we're also up against Invis from the Enchantress, we can need a slot for that. So we can't really afford to have any more of these small items. So in this game, this item build makes perfect sense. Now after winning this fight, it's into Roshan. Obviously, this is what you want to do. You want to win fights, control the map, and then take Roshan once you can do so reasonably safely. And it doesn't go that fast because without the spirit damage, we're not really doing that much damage. But eventually we get it done thanks to these wards as well. So now we have an Aegis, we have an AC, so this is pretty much our strongest timing in the game. We have everything we need, we have all our spells maxed, we have the cleave talent as well, so we're also able to quite effectively deal with the split pushing. So this is really where you want to fight. But we can see this Arc 1 is actually insanely farmed, so even just the clone was almost able to kill us. You have to be careful. As far as neutral items go, we often go for the typical right-click items. So at the start we had a broom handle, and now we have a paladin sword. What's also really excellent is movement speed items. We can get our hands on the faded brooch, that's an excellent early game item. Also at the tier 3 level we have the spider legs, which work really well together with our spirit. We can activate our Facebook and spider legs, and then our spirit moves really fast. Of course, an item like Imp Claw is also great for us with our rather bursty damage. And for example, get an item like Minotaur is great and works really well together with the Aghanims. You have this short magic immunity that allows you to, for example, dispel silences and get out of some sticky situations, and allows you to get out of your Astral Spirit, which then gives you more magic immunity. Other items like the Level is also great with our attack damage. So there's a lot of good items to get on Emerald Titan. After AC we go for the customary Abyssal Blade, and these are sort of the premier items in the late game. If you don't need MKB or something like that, these are almost all the two items you want to go for. There's nothing specifically that speaks against those items. And you can see how much damage we do in these fights. We don't really have any like real damage item. It's just like these Echo Sabers, like a pseudo attack speed item. AC gives us some attack speed, and like Abyssal is like a little bit of damage, but mostly it's just our spirit giving us huge amounts of damage. And with a successful fight we can siege this tower. We're sending our spirit forward, see if there's some defenders here, but no one is there. So unfortunately we don't get anything, but you just want to spam this out. This has a very high uptime, so it lasts for 10 seconds to buff, and it's only a 70-second cooldown, so very high uptime on this. And yeah, we can just do so much damage here to the buildings with our AC and with our Randomancer, but we don't do enough killing damage to just ignore heroes. We want to jump on people, use our Abyssal, and then continue the siege. And meanwhile, probably just should be casting Astral Spirit right now. I cast it forward, send it forward, and also help with scouting. And now we have it in the get the stomp off, and now the game is basically over. Yeah, so this is how you play Emerald Titan as a carry. Very powerful, interesting playstyle. Definitely try this out. Also try out offlane Emerald Titan. I think it's a very powerful hero in the current meta. If you want to see more Church of Obelisk content, come join my stream at twitch.tv/JonGunnarsson. I stream every Monday and Friday, and the details are below in the description. So the main thing I do on my stream is analyzing viewer submitted replays, so you can just come to the chat and post your replay in chat, and I'll take a look and hopefully help you improve at Dota, at whatever hero you want to play. And also, I mean, currently I have like a series going where every stream I look at one Dota role. So we've already done position 1, 2, and 3. So this Friday we're doing the position 4 role, and then on next Monday it's going to be the 5 role. So come join us there. And if you want some more YouTube content, I have 2 other strong meta heroes that I've made videos on, and one is Randomancer and the other one is Arc Warden. So go check those videos out, and Owen is willing, I'll see you there.
Double kill.